I've been waiting 40 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters. According to these hacks, they saved the world. No eyewitnesses. And who is found to carry the torch? Descendants of Egon Spengler. You have a miner hanging out the side of a moving vehicle, firing a laser gun indiscriminately.
Has a proton pack.
It's completely safe.
I wouldn't say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished.
Right, well, overruled.
Sustained.
Thank you.
You the weird guy who buys strange old things?
Correct on both counts.
Buddy, you just hit the jackpot.
What is it?
Better question is, what's inside of it?
The parables tell of an unimaginable evil commanding an army of ghosts. With the power to kill by fear itself.
Like, literally scared to death?
We might be looking at a second ice age.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
Can I be of any help? Melnitz in uniform! Yes!
If there's something strange, if there's something weird, who are people gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We're the Ghostbusters. Can I tell you something else? What? Buster makes me feel good. It makes me feel good.
Heads up! It's all dark and horny at 12 o'clock.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Benner from Black Fawn Distro. Welcome back to another one of my movie reviews. And this time, of course, we're talking about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, also known as Ghostbusters 4. That's right, I said it. I believe that this is really the fourth movie in this actual franchise, which started obviously all the way back in 1984 with the original Ghostbusters and, of course, Ghostbusters 2. And the third movie that kind of reinvigorated the franchise, Ghostbusters Afterlife, was dropped in theaters a few years ago. So listen, this is the direct sequel to Afterlife, and non-spoiler review. So of course, I just want to preface the video with that. I'm not going to reveal any sort of plot details or anything like that. It's just going to be some general criticisms and some general likes and dislikes of the film. But listen, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, which I think is down there somewhere, and give this video a like if you dig review videos like this, and let us know what you think about in the comments below if you like the film and if you have any feedback on my review. So let's get into it. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I'm wearing my Black Fawn Distro toque. This is one of the original toques that we did because guess what? It was actually cold outside when I saw this movie, and it's still cold, and it snowed on the weekend. So hey, what do you know? I saw this film on Thursday evening, and right now I'm recording this video on Saturday night. And the box office looks pretty good, pretty healthy for this film. Looks like it's going to come in at around 40 to 50 million opening weekend. That's pretty great. And on the budget of $100 million, we don't have the final numbers on either of those. They're just kind of estimates that you can find online. But $100 million for this movie is pretty good. And it's one of those things that I think a lot of people are talking about in the industry right now, about films kind of pulling back, and tentpole films, especially from big studios in these summer slots for releases, being a little bit more economical as far as like how they can budget this out and put the cash on the screen. You don't have to worry about making like $500 million on a film. So $100 million budget. I think the estimates are kind of coming in around 40 to 50 million opening weekend for the film. And of course, we don't have those final numbers yet, but look out for those next week. Now, going into this film, I loved Afterlife. I thought Afterlife was one of the best films I saw in the theater that year. Really, really great cast, really great, just really solid, like just the right amount of nostalgia. I thought they tried to do something different with it. They introduced some new characters, which I think really, really worked. And of course, that includes Phoebe, who is Egon Spengler's granddaughter, played by McKenna Grace. She's back in Frozen Empire as the main character. And that's awesome because I think she was one of the best characters that's really kind of being put on film in one of these types of movies in a long, long time. She's very likable. She's quirky. She's you feel for her. She's got a lot of heart. And I think that they're really, really smart in kind of building this franchise around her. And of course, Paul Rudd is sort of her sidekick as well. And, Paul Rudd's going to Paul Rudd. He does his Paul Rudd thing. But honestly, like it works. And this film, especially, I really wanted to like it. Like I really wanted to like this film. And a little bit of backstory on this is that I always loved Ghostbusters when I was a kid. I think it's because my parents didn't really like Ghostbusters and didn't really want me watching it. But I loved Ghostbusters. I loved the cartoon. I loved the movies. I loved everything that had, like the toys, everything that came with it. So it always has a soft spot or a soft place in my heart to, when I think about this film and I like Ecto-1, I like the firehouse, I love all this, the proton packs, it's all awesome. So for me, I gotta throw it in the same kind of category as sort of like Gremlins, that sort of, or Short Circuit, one of those movies that doesn't necessarily have a massive following, but it still has a huge following anyway, if that makes any sense. I know that doesn't sound quite right, but it's not as popular as, let's say, Star Wars or something like Lord of the Rings, but it's got its own following. And I really do feel like the fans love this series. And again, Afterlife sort of bringing it back from the dead, so to speak, and making sort of like this all kind of connect to the original film and its sequel as well. Now, having said that, going into this film, wanted to love it so bad. I liked it. I'm not going to say I hated it. I'm not going to tell you not to go see it. I think it's a great film for the whole family to go and see. I think this franchise, and they've done a really great job at Sony of making this franchise accessible and fun for everybody. I chuckled throughout the film. There's definitely some good sequences, but there does have some problems that kind of pop up in halfway through right into the third act. And what I'm talking about is editing this film. There's one too many characters in the film, and that becomes glaringly obvious with the fact that not enough of them have enough screen time to really sort of complete any arcs or really do anything meaningful to the plot. So I'm not going to spoil anything here. I'm not even going to use names. Not really. But you can tell that, at least I could tell, there's a longer cut of this film somewhere. It comes in, I think, about 1 hour and 54 minutes, which is great. Me and Kels talk about this all the time on 90s Night, which is our other show on the channel, about how films need to come in at that efficient time. 2 hours is a good mark. So I do feel like maybe this movie was like 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 20 minutes, and the studio decided to cut it down to 1 hour 54. I could tell pretty clearly that halfway through the film, characters kind of go from one situation to another. Things just happen kind of almost for no reason. Things seem rushed. The timeline doesn't necessarily match up in certain sequences. Now, it's done very, very well. I don't think it's as glaring as, like, let's say, Suicide Squad when that movie came out and it was just butchered. But I think that's what's happened here, and that's really, really, really unfortunate, because there are a couple of things in this movie, plot point wise, which I think are very, very interesting, and they revolve around Phoebe. And again, McKenna Grace brings such a humanity and such a likability and such a just all these things that you want in a character. She feels very, very fleshed out, very three-dimensional, and plays really well off Paul Rudd. I think one of the problems with this film, and it was kind of the same thing in Afterlife, its predecessor, but wasn't as noticeable, was that I think Phoebe and Paul Rudd, like McKenna Grace and Paul Rudd, they're the Ghostbusters. Like, they're the new Ghostbusters. They feel like in the same vein as like Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray. I'm not saying they're Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray. I'm just saying they have that same camaraderie. They have that same sort of like chemistry on screen, that same sort of comedic timing. The other characters, of course, played by Phoebe's mom, who's played by Carrie Coon, and of course her brother Trevor, who is played by Finn Wolfhard. They kind of just sort of stick around. They're just hanging around, really, and they're not necessarily they just don't feel like they're really a team. Like, yeah, they're a family, but that's not the Ghostbusters, really, right? Like, so it's a small gripe. But I would say the vast number of characters that are in this film, everyone's carried over from Afterlife and you have the original characters, and you have new characters introduced as well. And there's just not enough screen time to handle them all appropriately. Again, it's there's a clear MVP in this film too, which I'm just gonna mention one name, Patton Oswalt. Always awesome. He is phenomenal in this film. I wish that Patton Oswalt was one of the Ghostbusters, but he plays another role in the film, which is really, really cool and very, very funny, and got a few laughs from myself. But again, you can just sort of tell that like things like they just don't quite match up. And there is one particular plot point that I'm not going to mention that is brilliant, and it's very, very interesting. And I was like, I just don't understand why they didn't really reach for that and really make that the focal point. Again, I have a feeling that there's another cut of this film where that was the focal point. And I hope that we get to see that on some sort of 4K or Blu-ray release, some sort of director's cut, maybe down the road, which we can kind of, really kind of appreciate this film for what it was probably meant to be, as opposed to what we got. So very unfortunate, but again, it's not enough for me not to recommend the film. I love the Ghostbusters. I'll always go and see it in the theater. Go take your buddies, take your family, take your kids, take your loved ones, whomever, grab some popcorn, grab some pop, some candies, and sit down and check this film out. It's a great way to start the summer, and I'm not totally disappointed. Dune 2 came out. Awesome. We've got Ghostbusters 4 now. Cool. Hey, let's see what comes out next in the summer, and we'll take a look, and I'll try and go to the theater more and let you know what I thought. So anyway, that's about it for me. Again, check out this movie if you can. And before you go, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like if you like review videos like this. And of course, check out our other programming on the channel, including 90s Night, which is the show I host with my co-conspirator, Kels McNells. And of course, Kels has her own show as well called Streams and Screams, which is definitely worth checking out. And we also have the Chopping Block, which we've just recently resurrected as well, where we'll be reviewing trailers live on air. You'll get our actual my reaction as well as Kels's reaction as well. And there's lots and lots of trailers coming up. We just did our first one for the Crow reboot, which is dropping in theaters this summer. And there's lots of stuff that we're going to take a look at coming up, including the new Alien teaser and, of course, the new trailer for Beetlejuice, et cetera, et cetera. So thanks again for checking out my movie reviews. That's Benner's movie reviews. I love talking in the third person. And let's take another look at that trailer for Ghostbusters 3. I did love the trailers they put out for this movie. I thought they were really, really great with great music. So let's take another quick look at this. And if you see the trailer, it means Sony's cool and they like us using the trailer in review videos like this. And if it's not there, well, you know what that means. Until next time, take care.
I've been waiting 40 years for this. They called themselves Ghostbusters. According to these hacks, they saved the world. No eyewitnesses. And who is found to carry the torch? Descendants of Egon Spengler. You have a miner hanging out the side of a moving vehicle, firing a laser gun indiscriminately.
Has a proton pack.
It's completely safe.
I wouldn't say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished.
Right. Well, overruled.
Sustained.
Thank you.
You the weird guy who buys strange old things?
Correct on both counts.
Buddy, you just hit the jackpot.
What is it?
Better question is, what's inside of it?
The parables tell of an unimaginable evil commanding an army of ghosts. With the power to kill by fear itself.
Like, literally scared to death?
We might be looking at a second ice age.
We're gonna need all the help we can get.
Let's get to work.
Can I be of any help? Melnitz in uniform. Yes.
If there's something strange, if there's something weird, what are people gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
We're the Ghostbusters. Can I tell you something else? What? Buster makes me feel good. Makes me feel good.
Heads up. Tall, dark, and horny at 12 o'clock.